Welcome back. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Today we're talking about particle effects in Unreal Engine 5. It's the first video of the year, so we thought let's do a fun one. So I'm going to bring you over to Unreal Engine and show you not only my 3 particle effects that I have in my game on my player now, but I just want to show you exactly how I activate them as well. Some of that is the most fun part because it becomes kind of magical when you have certain conditions and triggers. So for example, in the intro there, you might have noticed the player ball had a bubble effect. Let me click through them here. There's a bit of a bubble effect here when the ball hits the water. There is a trail effect here when the ball hits a certain velocity. And then there's these speed lines that come out when I use my dash action. So to show you one more time real quick here, go into the level and I'm going to silence the music. So you notice there when I hit the water, there's a few bubbles created. If I go underwater, you can see how that kind of trails behind. And so that's the one. And then if I get fast enough, then there's this trail behind me comes out. If I slow it down, it stops. And then when I use my dash, you have those speed lines come out. So let's look at that. Velocity-based trail effects. So on my event tick, I don't have anything else going on with that one. So what I've chose to do is to check the speed of my ball every frame. And if it hits a certain threshold, then I'm going to activate the effect. As soon as it falls below that threshold, as soon as this condition is not met, then it deactivates the effect. So let's just break it down real quick here. Get player pawn, very simple. Then get the velocity out of there. And then if you use vector length, that will be the absolute value of the speed of the velocity. So you'll have to play around with your own if you're going to implement this exactly. Your number might be different than mine because my ball moves pretty fast. And so I just played around with this. So probably might change later on. But for now, I have it set at 2,500 units. And the rest is pretty simple. Self-explanatory. Trail effect. So this is let me just show you how you do it. You add Niagara particle system component. And that will create, I have 3 here, you see. So this one is attached to the player ball. Let me go to the viewport. Right now you can't see it because I have it to auto activate as false, but if I turn it on, you'll see it there. It's right in the center of the ball. And that's important because my ball spins and rolls. If it were not at the center of the ball, you would, and it was say attached behind the ball or at the top of it, you would see the origin of that trail effect rolling along with the ball. So having it at the center of my ball works fine. For the other ones, I wanted to place a little bit different, like the speed lines here. If I activate that one, I've got it placed just behind the ball, kind of. And they're coming at the camera. So in this case, I've attached the speed lines to my camera. The camera doesn't rotate and roll like the ball does. So yeah, if you attach it to your camera, you won't have any problems that way. It'll always stay oriented to the camera like that, as well as the bubbles. Let me just turn this off. Go to bubbles, and you see they are activating underneath this, kind of underneath this ball. But I have decided to attach it to the camera so that it doesn't roll because, like I said, I want it to appear only on the bottom. If I had attached it to the ball, as it rolls, it would spawn off of the top of the ball and the sides, etc. So that's the setup or the placement. And important to turn off auto activate if you want to have condition-based activation. So there's that. Let me go back to the event graph. So once you have your Niagara systems as components, you can just pull them off and then say activate, and then hook it up to whatever execution line you like. Similar for the deactivate. Let me show you one more. This is the bubble one. It's attached to my buoyancy system. Have on component begin overlap. So when my ball, that's the player ball here, overlaps anything, an actor, pardon me, that has the tag water, that's how my buoyancy system works. It's a little more complicated than that, but as soon as it overlaps something that hits water, I am going to activate my bubbles particle effect, among other things. And then down here it says on component end overlap. So as soon as I stop overlapping with the water, I'm going to deactivate my bubbles. So that's how you can see my bubble skipping along, my ball skipping along the water, creating bubbles, and just kind of, it's a quick activation and deactivation. Down here is the speed lines. So I have it attached to my dash action. There's a lot going on there, but as soon as start the FOV change, then I'm going to activate the speed lines. 0.6 seconds later, we're going to change the FOV back to normal and then deactivate the speed lines. So why don't we have a look at those particle effects? Because this is, if you're watching this video, maybe you're interested in particle effects and you're new, that's great, because I'm new too, and I'm just experimenting, I'm playing around. Watched a bunch of other tutorials, so I created these, and this, I can't take credit for this one or this one, although I did tweak them a bit to suit my own needs. Some great tutorials out there. If you Google speed lines or trail effects, this one's my own, but they're all very simple. And I can show you from here. I have a folder called Niagara, and all it is you right click and create a new Niagara system. So there's a bunch of options here. I chose fountain for one, this one here, and oh, that's cool, directional burst lightweight. See, these are all templates, so you can make anything you want from just starting with a minimal or even an empty one if you really know what you're doing. Just start with an empty one. Completely empty. Again, you can start with the minimal, is fine. Double click it, open up, you get something that looks like that. And then you can start going from here. Really, if you're new, just experiment. Click on stuff, see what happens. Emitter system update. You can go self, infinite, then you get to choose if it happens once, if it happens a few times. Infinite is just a loop. Set a loop duration here. Why don't we look at the ones I have going first? The bubbles. So this one is set to an infinite loop of 2 seconds. And I have a spawn rate, so you can do this all kinds of different ways, but I'm choosing a spawn rate, so it's going to try and spawn 500 particles a second, or an update, I suppose. And then what do we have here? Initialize particle. So here you get to play with the lifetime of each individual particle, and you can have like it randomized, or you can tell it directly how long you want them to set. Random makes for a little more interesting effects. I have the range of 1 to 2 seconds long for their lifetime. You can change that as you wish. Color mode. I guess I did color down here when I could have done it up there. But I'm just kind of using an opacity and a green. Let me come back up to here. Sprite attribute size. So they're varying in sizes, as you can tell over here, from 1 to 3. And you can choose how random, or if you want to just tell it exactly how big they are. And then there's other things down here too. Shape. This one was a sphere. And you can change the shapes, I'm sure, here, right? Ring cone. So you can choose the radius of your sphere, and I have played with the hemisphere distribution. So you can kind of tell, it's a little bit tricky, but you can kind of tell that's not a full circle, and it's only at the top half of the hemisphere. And I've set the shape distribution. That's why it kind of looks like it is not totally uniform. It's a little bit random. You do that here. And I don't have any gravity or drag or velocity. I'm not adding any forces to it, really. So I probably don't need this. Yeah, I don't even need that. Well, since there's drag in here, do I need drag? What happens if we just compile that? I bet you it works just fine. And maybe that's a tiny optimization. Let's go underwater, see what it looks like. It looks the same. Maybe even better without the drag. Oh, it looks the same though. Hard to tell. Let's see if I get a few bounces here. That's actually better. I like that better. Cool. So, as you can tell, you can kind of A/B it by just turning on and off these effects. I'm going to, since drag was the only force I had there, so I'm going to delete drag. And I think now, just I think I can delete that too. Cool. So this is a simple, very simple particle effect. Particle state, kill particles when lifetime is over. Scale the sprite size. So this is a curve where you can tell it exactly how big to make the sizes over time. Here's the color over time and the sprite render. So here you can do a bunch of stuff too. There is a default materials for this particular sprite. Very simple. You can go in and look at it if you like, just by clicking that folder icon, double click and open it up. I did play around in here a bit, and then I reverted everything back to normal because it is an engine material file, and I didn't really accomplish anything amazing anyway, so I just put it back to normal. Let's see, I don't think I changed anything in here. So that's the basic bubble effect I have. Ribbon 1. You know, I'm not going to go into too much detail. A lot of this is the same. This one doesn't have a loop system. It's just it doesn't have a loop. It's not set to self. It's set to system. Spawning a lot more than the other one. The other one was 500. This is 2,000. And then we have similar kind of ideas here. It's like a 3-second lifespan for this one. I added a curl noise force. So you can always add different modules by pressing these this plus button here. This just kind of adds some random, that's that tail that comes out and it wiggles in a different direction with a curl. You can play with the noise strength and noise frequency here. I clicked this pan noise here. This one does need forces, the solve forces and velocity, because we have this one here. Scale ribbon width. So like the other one, I had the color scale, the size. So now I'm scaling the ribbon width. It starts out at 0, then it sharply comes up to its full width and then trails off again. And you can kind of tell that by looking at it here. Color over here. And I don't need this. This is because I made it from a location-based ribbon template, this one here. And to be honest, I don't know how to use it, so I could just delete it, I guess. And then the ribbon renderer. You'll see the other one had a sprite renderer at the bottom, and that's the kind of dot. The ribbon renderer is like a plane, a kind of square plane, and it kind of sticks all of them together to make a ribbon. Lots of options down here. I don't think I changed anything. Well, I did change the material. And this material, maybe I'll show you at the end of the video. If you're interested, stick around for that. But it's, let me just double click it and open it. I can dock it here. Oops. Do this. That was the instance. Let's open up the material itself. So texture coordinate with the panner. Texture coordinates is set to 3 and 1 for UV tiling. The panner is moving in the X direction -1. I guess we're doing this right now. The texture sample here is a low res blurred noise. This is from the engine content here. Let me come back. If you were to just kind of type for noise, you should be able to find something you like, if not the exact one that I'm using. And then we use another texture coordinate with a mask for the red channel. You can deselect them and just have the red available. 1 minus, and then plug that into a multiply. This particle color is a node you'll need to use anytime you want to work with particles and make a material and work with particles. So you've got the RGB and the alpha here. RGB going into the emissive and alpha going into opacity. For the material itself, you're going to want to change from opaque to translucent and shading mode to unlit from default lit. Two-sided can be fun, but you don't need it. It's more expensive that way. So there we go. We did the material real quick. Then, of course, make your instance and use that, not the material itself. So that's all for the ribbon one. Last one is the speed lines. This one's a little bit different. It's still got, well, sorry, it's still similar to the first one in that it is a self-looping one. Duration 3 seconds. I have initially I was using this one. I'm going to delete it right now. Spawn rate 100 per update. Initialize particle. So this lifetime is a lot shorter. We have 0.4 to 0.6 seconds. And this size here, I wonder if that was default or not. Shape location. We have the sphere, the radius. This is like how it's spawning. It's coming out, it's hard to tell here, but it's coming out of a sphere here. And the sphere radius is 50. You can play around with that if you like. Now in this one, we're adding a force called velocity in its spawn section, not the update section. It's going, as you can tell, in the -500 direction. And that is, for our player, it's going towards our camera. Don't think I need to show you again, but I'll just do it real quick. These speed lines, that's the -500 on the x-axis. Go back here. Color. I just made this one a simple straight color that doesn't have any alpha channel to it. Don't think I need this stuff here. Solve forces, you need that one. Scale sprite size by speed. This one, yeah, this one's not really doing anything. Never mind. Okay, velocity threshold. This is the number that could change and probably won't affect anything. What we're seeing is these balls. Let me uncheck that. So these are balls, right? We have a sprite renderer, but if we play with their size in such a way that we can change their X more than their Y, or reduce their x and increase their y, then we make them into little lines instead of balls. It's just this max scale factor I don't think we're hitting, because we're not hitting a velocity threshold of 1,000. We're only getting the minus 500. So if I were to change this, what if I change it to like 500 here? I think you got like ones that are even thinner maybe. Anywho, I think this minimum scale factor is fun, or the important bit. Let me just save everything. So there you go. Close those. So I'll show you one more time how this looks. Got the speed line, or the trail that comes when I hit a certain velocity. Got the bubbles. And the dash. I hope that was helpful. Let me get out of there. Well, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and we'll see you next time. Take care.